There we go. I did it. Zach, we're recording.
We are.
Zach, we have 45 minutes to do 2 videos. Michael's here.
Hello.
Duke's here.
Hi.
Zach, I understand you have a video for us.
I have some literary analysis with like some
What's that?
theory avenues. Yes, I do.
What's literary now? That's what is that? Is that like when you think about books or something?
Yeah, well, welcome everybody. You've been grifted after 2 years of insane theories. We're just going to talk about why we like the books.
Yeah, we've decided to become a straight literature. We decided to become a straight booktube channel.
Yep. You've all been fooled.
Cue music from The Who?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
Zach, give me something to write on this board.
In A Game of Thrones, the book, when writing Robert's will, Ned changes Joffrey's name to my rightful heir.
Ned changes Joffrey's name to my rightful heir. Yeah, that's true. That I have always thought that was a very cool detail.
Yes.
That was done very well in the show. Ned live rewrites it, and we see it like over Ned's shoulder when he writes it.
You want to hear something that struck me today?
Yes.
This might be the only time we see Ned formulate and act out a lie from its inception to its conclusion.
Okay.
Because the lie that he was told before he died wasn't constructed by him. He was told to say that.
Yes.
Like this was him.
This is him
deciding
coming up
to
with a
deceive.
lie on the spot. I think about lying a lot. I'm fascinated. I've never told this before, I don't think, but my mom's father, my biological grandfather who I never met, was like a con man of sorts. And I've been fascinated my whole life with lying. Not like in a like I'm gonna do it sort of way, but in a how it works and how like you separate like a plausible one from an implausible one. And so we have Ned here, a very honest man who's deeply uncomfortable lying, making a lie, which is like crazy out of character for him and only done in like extreme circumstances. And here he is doing it. And I want to reflect on that because from this, we can tell about Ned's other omissions of truth throughout his life. We can learn something from it because this is the only one we see from its inception.
Interesting.
So this is a A plus equals J theory?
Sort of.
What do you mean? What do you mean, sort of? What does that mean, Zach?
It means R
that?
plus L equals J requires Ned to have lied about something.
Uh-huh.
We can contrast this lie with other things he might be lying about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying that Ned wrote the pink letter is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
He can only lie in writing.
His lies are always omissions of truth.
Well, it strikes me that like the point of the lie is to get to the truthful result.
Yes.
In the end.
Yes.
Okay, so the truth that he he never started any of the rumors about Jon's parentage. He like rumors sprung up, but he just never acknowledged them, right? He let them grow.
Doesn't he tell Cat specifically he's of my blood and not he is my son?
Yes, he does. Like that he for sure says. He says, okay, what else do you have, Zach? Do you have specifics about Ned talking about his relationship with Jon?
I have a confusing, interesting thing here because he changes Joffrey's name to rightful heir, and he said basically, there'll be a regent. He'll be hand until Joffrey comes of age. If he changes, like he'll be heir until he'll be hand until my rightful heir comes of age. He may not have been planning to put Stannis on the throne after all. He may have actually been trying to legitimize one of Robert's bastards, which has interesting implications for what he thinks of Jon.
What?
Huh.
Huh? What? Whoa? And in fact, what? You're
I'm
asserting to me.
pulling off.
You're
I'm
looking
pulling
me
off
in
of
the
a.
eye.
I'm pulling off of a 9-year-old Reddit post. Uh, and people are debating this, that he may have been. It's unclear whether he just changed it to rightful heir should inherit, or whether he changed it till my rightful heir comes of age,
Uh-huh.
as is written in the book. People think that that's just he's changing it to rightful heir, and then he changes the rest of the sentence also. Then there's also some people saying here that no, maybe he did mean that. I don't know if this is somebody grossly misunderstanding, because I don't actually have the chapter in front of me. I'm going to actually search Vice and Fire it.
I was gonna say I have like 7 tabs of that open for a video we may be recording after this, so I will also try find it.
And if you want to hear some truly insane Michael talks about stuff theories, you should subscribe right now. The button is right under the video, and also so is a link
Yes.
to Michael's videos, and so is the link to Duke's
Yeah.
channel. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, Zach. Okay, Zach. All right, let me hang on, just so that you're telling me that
He might have said rightful heir specifically in the show, and he said something very similar in the book. But
if he said like the rightful heir, if he said until the rightful heir comes of age, the next person in line for the throne is Jon, assuming that he is a legitimate person.
ooh, that's a really fun take.
You're
That's
asserting
a really fun take.
that Ned at this moment is planning a coup where he installs Jon Snow as the heir to the throne. That's what you're telling me right now.
That is not what I was thinking, but that is a wildly fun take.
At that point, it could also be Daenerys.
That's true.
Like,
Yeah.
He did stand up for Dany when he was trying to have her killed.
Yeah,
I
that is
doubt that's the case.
interesting.
I'm sure he was planning for not that outcome. But it's I think it's fascinating to examine, like, stepping away from the theories here for a second, back to literary analysis. I like Ned Stark as a character because we very seldom, and George said he probably shouldn't have been dead at POV because he had to have him not think about things that he would probably think about often, which means that he's made him repress a lot of things. And he has been like ashamed of lying his entire life. That's like a famous character trait, people who knew him when he was very young. So presumably before all of the trauma of losing most of his family, he still had a hard time lying. And I think the trauma probably made it worse over time. People with anxieties, like periods of high stress and high depression, usually tend to make their anxieties worse. I think that Ned Stark has lived a rather depressing life, all things considered, especially the early parts of his life. I think he was happier when he was just up in Winterfell, basically, with his family. But then he goes to the high stress environment of King's Landing, and he is in a place where you can't be an honest man. And we see the one lie he makes, it causes him a lot of anxiety at the time. And it's also just unique that we see from his perspective him tell a lie. Because most of the liars and schemers that we get, and Ned is definitely not one of them, most of the lies and schemes we get that are famous in this book series, we're not there to hear somebody make them. We never get Littlefinger's POV. We never get Varys's POV. The biggest lie that we see being set up that it comes to mind instantly for me is Tyrion doing his game to figure out who's leaking information in King's Landing.
That's a good one.
By
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. And I was, as I say, technically he was going to tell the truth to one of them. He just didn't know who yet.
I would like to reference another like period of lying.
Okay.
Sam at the Night's Watch manipulating Cotter
Yes.
Pike and Dennis Mallister.
And he ruminates on it and feels bad about it the whole time.
He
I completely
does.
forgot about that.
The
I've done a
only
video about
people,
that before.
the only people we see lie are good people. Because
Yeah,
I
honestly,
don't know.
and they feel like shit doing it.
Yeah,
They're trying to get to the right thing in the end. They're trying to get to what they believe is the greater good, sort of, that the lie supports. Right? Like with the election of Jon and the heir situation, which I found the quote, by the way. What Ned
Thanks. I
wrote
was having
instead
so
of
much trouble finding it.
yeah, what he wrote is my heir instead of Joffrey. It
My heir.
says the king had said my son Joffrey, he scrawled my heir instead. And then later, Barristan is reading out uh the piece of paper and he says that Lord Eddard Stark is herein named Protector of the Realm, to rule as regent until the heir comes of age. Now,
until
I want to make
oh.
yeah, I want to make a legal argument as Joffrey's
Ooh.
legal team here. Ned not using the word rightful heir does leave it open
True.
to interpretation because when Robert
Yeah,
died, Joffrey was his heir,
Yeah.
That's true.
rightful or not.
We
yeah.
can cross out rightful. We were wrong about that. That was the show. They're now conflating.
Right,
I think.
right.
But naming my heir instead of Joffrey until my heir comes of age. One makes it seem like he's not planning to get Stannis on the throne, or at the very least, he's doing it as like a delay tactic. And two, from Ned's perspective, he didn't technically write a lie; he just interpreted it differently. He
Yeah.
said Joffrey, I put my heir, who he would argue is there, but he could say the out if he can lie a little bit. And it's fascinating. Like that's his means of lying.
Now I'm trying to think of other lies throughout the series. There are
It's fascinating you bring up.
instances.
I'm glad you put Sam on there. Well, you can put Tyrion up there too, because Tyrion's also, like Michael said, telling a lie for the right reason. He needs to figure out who's
Oh,
leaking things to Cersei. And
I
Cersei
got
is
one.
actually doing damage to the realm.
Tywins kill some people at a wedding instead of thousands in battle. That's just in the show, right?
I don't think so. I think he does say something very much like that.
Yeah, I think he justifies it, but like
Yeah.
also very weirdly, I think the point you're driving at is that is him also doing the same thing from his messed up Tywin point of view, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Doing something
He thinks he's doing the right
dishonest.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By
This is the
lying about doing guest right, or however
yeah.
you want to say that.
Okay.
It's
I got one.
Yeah, go
Er,
ahead.
it's
Go ahead.
fascinating that we largely get the point of view of honest people in this world of like treachery. We never see like too terribly much scheming. Sorry, Michael, go ahead. I wanted to get that out.
I was just gonna throw out another example is Jon Snow with his baby swap is a lie by an honest person trying to save the life of a baby because
Yep.
he thinks when the lie is eventually revealed, there won't be a baby sacrificed.
And that's
that
also kind of a lie by omission.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He never overtly says this baby is this baby left at the wall is Mance's son. He just doesn't talk about it. So
Yep.
if ever confronted,
He,
he'll never need to say that he lied. Interesting.
it's just, or he'll just be like, "Well, I made them switch. Oops, I didn't mention it. It's too late now. Nothing anyone can do about it. The baby's in Old Town." Yeah.
Why is it better to kill 1,000 men in battle than a dozen at dinner? Jon Snow's baby swap. No, the other one. No.
Yeah.
I hate this window.
And then of course we can loop back to the way he lied or omitted the truth about Jon's parentage. If you believe that Ned is not Jon's father, as I think at least everybody in the call does.
I thought you were gonna
Yeah.
say at least everybody does.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Jon is.
Um,
We'll say Jon's parentage is.
I mean, I'm not R plus L equals J, and I'm uncertain about whether Ned or Brandon is the father, I'd say. But, yeah.
Suffice it, there's something weird about Jon's parentage. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay, I have another one. I have another lie. I have another lie by omission, sort of.
I think in the show, he says, as it happens, he is of age, confirming in the show he was gunning for Stannis. I think the books we have some conversations he has with Renly that implies he's gunning for Stannis. But he does write, as you said in the book, the heir comes of age, which is curious wording for because the other thing I was thinking is he's rewriting. He's the only one in the room writing Robert's will. He could write whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, he really needed a notary in there.
Well,
yeah.
not only that, but he could have explicitly stated until he could have explicitly wrote down right then and there. Joffrey, Marcella, and Tommen are bastards and shall not inherit. The throne passes to my brother Stannis. Like that, he could have wrote that down.
Just so we know, I'm not sure who it is, but we're getting a little bit of sort of like audio clinking and clanking in the background, just so y'all know. Sorry, Zach.
Oh, yeah. Apparently my muting doesn't work. Okay. That's weird.
Yeah, well,
sorry,
that's interesting. I was just gonna say, I'll say it first. That is interesting to think about, because Ned had seen Gendry,
Yep.
so he could have in his mind, oh, Robert has other heirs. It's tough to say whether the comes of age thing is something that he just wrote because that's close enough to what Robert said. Like his honor would only allow him to change as few words as possible. Like he has a code. He's like, nope, must not change more than 3 words in the will, or I've broken my honor.
Yeah, I get to lie in
Yeah.
8 syllables a year, and I've already used 6 of
Yeah.
them.
Exactly. So that part is really interesting. The other lie I thought of too while we were talking is when Daenerys sells her dragon for a slave army
Oh,
and then
hell
turns
yeah.
around. Yeah, and fully knows that the dragon wasn't actually going to be sold. She just turns around and commands it to do what she wants anyway. She's just like, well, a dragon's not a slave. Sorry. Very satisfying
Oh,
lie by
yeah. Oh,
omission.
my God. She's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
oops. Oh, you didn't know that the dragon wouldn't listen to you? Oh, my bad.
You trained these slaves very well. I trained my pets very poorly. They listen to me sometimes.
You don't have enough badges to train me.
Yeah. Yeah. She knew Krasny's hadn't beaten Brock yet.
Yeah. This is what you come to this channel for.
If nothing else, yes.
I got another one. Alaras is Sorella spelled backwards.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess that's technically. I mean, it is a lie, but it's barely a lie.
And it's for a good purpose.
And
yeah,
education.
Overcome sexism. Yes.
Rhaenys is Sorella with different letters.
Yes. Rhaenys is Sorella if you change most of the letters. Yes.
Yeah, that's true. You can't tell me it's not, Zach.
Tom is
It's
going
true.
to sit there after this episode, crafting up a Tom Marvolo riddle, I am Lord Voldemort version that says Rhaenys, that turns Rhaenys into I am Sorella Greyjoy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is already married. It's been planned out at a time.
Oh my God, I hate that is stuck in all of our brains as Sorella Greyjoy. That's the worst title for a video. That is so
I'm sure we've done
secondary.
worse.
Yeah, it was. That is true.
Oh my god, hell yeah.
So
Yeah, keep going.
I think like we get Ned's point of view. This is the thing like I keep coming back to. I like am fascinated by uh the idea of like how mentally people justify lying to themselves, because you get that like in the small, everybody lies to themselves and to other people like on small scales all the time. You know, I'm running a little bit late. I you know, had trouble getting up this morning with like full well, like it wasn't that you had trouble getting up this morning, it's that you saw your alarm said I'm gonna sleep for 20 more minutes and gamble on it. Sort of thing.
Yep.
Like people do that all the time.
This is
And
this is a pitch for a board
we get a
game org.
disproportionate
Excuse me?
amount. How did you get a donation?
We just got a subscriber to the channel. Thank you, Blade of 96, for subscribing to the channel. We're
That's
not live
incredible.
right
That's
now,
on by accident.
but I really
It's been immortalized
appreciate you.
forever. That's incredible. What the
Dude,
hell?
that's staying in the video.
That is staying 100%. That's staying in. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for
Yeah.
subscribing.
Hell yeah. Oh my god. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off. I'm gonna turn off
Subscriber notifications. Yeah.
Oh my god. that's
Quickly
really
going to check to make sure Tom didn't accidentally go live on the channel and that we haven't been streaming this whole time.
Hell yeah.
That'd be really funny.
You aren't. At least if you are, it didn't show up when I
Look-
refreshed my
Look at
YouTube
it.
homepage.
Stream Elements is muted. How did it come through?
That's
Yeah,
impressive, honestly.
Whatever. Cool. Maybe
Well.
it's open in one of my 5,000 tabs. Okay. All right. Yeah, like Ned is such an interesting character to me. Because his bones are going to be risen, as a movie. And he's gonna explain all of this. But one of the things he says is gonna be a lie, so it's gonna be really confusing.
Ned Stark is the door guard who only tells the truth.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ned Stark is the door guard who holds the door.
There are two door guards. One of them only tells lies and the other only says Hodor. You have to figure out which is which.
Yeah, you have to
You only get one question.
You have to ask them each questions about the other. And you say to one, does he always say Hodor? And he says, Hodor.
It's ingenious. You just ask them, state your name, and they both say Hodor.
Yeah, you ask one, what does he always say? And he says, Hodor. And you ask him, what does he always say? And he says, Hodor.
Yeah, but I thought one lies.
Right, the one that lies is Hodor.
Yeah, yes, that's the twist. Hodor's the one that lies.
The twist is the other guy was completely honest, and when I said one guard is only speaks lies and one guard only says Hodor, I didn't specify that they were both the same guard.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they both only say Hodor. Is this joke for somebody? Is this bit in the
I don't
comments
know.
below? Tell me if this. Hang on.
I'm having fun in
In
our serious book analysis video.
If this bit is for you, in the comments below, tell me that this bit is for you. If this bit is not for
I'm
you,
saying
in the
Hodor.
comments below, say Hodor.
If it's for you, say Hodor, and if it's not for you, say Hodor.
and
Venn diagram.
if you're ambivalent, say Hodor.
The Venn diagram of people who enjoy brain teaser riddles and people who enjoy A Song of Ice and Fire has to be fairly high, right?
Yeah, it
Like,
has to be pretty large. It's got to be meaningful.
That's the other thing that I was thinking of here. Like this, like came about. I've been thinking about like deception and lies more broadly as like concepts, because it's going to tie into a video I'm doing in the future on my other channel, of which I have a horrifyingly long backlog. I've been like slowly trying to churn out videos from. But I was also thinking like there are schemes and like you know, the stuff from Theory and A Song of Ice and Fire comes from a place of like there are actual people who have like theories in universe. We get the whole like slew of them in Fire and Blood, where like the author is like, this may have happened, and some people speculate that this may have happened. It's like, okay, he's writing theories live, but we meet people we're speculating on who Jon Snow's parents are, who's at least Jon Snow's mom. Multiple people we meet are like, oh, I heard a rumor it was this person. And that's true. People like make theories about that all the time in real life. You know, if somebody you know, is pregnant, people don't know who the father is. People gossip and guess. So that's not too different from real life in that regard. And
Yeah.
we see other people who are making like quasi like their own conspiracy theories in universe. Like it's entirely possible. We like so much of our like the maesters are scheming is based off of it's Barbary Dustin, right? Who calls them gray rats.
Yeah, and
She could,
and
she could
Marwyn
just be
says
crazy.
they're
And
yeah,
no,
you're
She could
right.
just be absolutely nuts.
These guys could be just completely unhinged and have no idea what they're
Yeah.
talking about.
Marwyn is
Imagine if
coded
somebody,
as conspiracy guy, like, but
yeah,
also George R. R. Martin is like a picket line hippie protester guy. So I think being coded as conspiracy guy makes you more likely to be correct in
Yeah,
these books.
he
But
hangs
that's
out with
that's
those
my
guys for
take.
sure.
Yeah, and also maybe sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes those people are more likely to be correct in real life. Only
but
sometimes, though. You have to be
like
very selective about that.
if you got so precious few narratives, like we uh this is interesting because George has said some of our narrators are unreliable narrators, and he has like not given too much comment on that. We know that he said Sansa is to some degree an unreliable narrator. We know that we've seen some characters tell lies from their perspective, but the only times we know for sure it's a lie, it seems to be, is when somebody like is either like, you know, Sam or Ned, where they instantly feel bad about it. We get their thoughts, and it's like, uh-oh, I'm lying right now. I'm no good at that. Or Tyrion, who's like stroking off his own ego, being like, "Ha, I'm smarter than all these fucking idiots. Look at this. I'm playing 5D chess out here. Oh, I'm so cool." Uh,
And then it backfires when he ends
yes.
up on trial.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah, and all of those people testify against him.
Yep. Uh,
I,
yep.
Hey,
I'm
here's
sitting here trying to think. Here, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that I have another good one, but let's hear your take first.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, like, I'm trying to think. We must have seen Cersei lie from her own POV for like some nefarious reason, but I
Yeah.
can't think off the top of my head of like when did she directly lie to anybody?
You know
She's
what?
just doing crazy shenanigans, like that she honestly thinks are the things she should be doing most of the time. But she
And like
must have lied
Oh man,
at
my
some
most
point.
of most of Cersei's affirming that her kids are hers and Robert's happens
Oh yeah,
before we get
yeah.
her as a POV. After we
The
get her as a
vast,
POV, it
yeah.
doesn't come up as much.
The lying about having sex with Jamie and the lying about the children are that has to be the big one.
yeah.
But like even that she is
And,
doing to protect her family. It's just like
and
many steps were made before this, so it's not as innocent as Ned lying,
yeah,
you
As
know.
far
and
as we
also
know.
she doesn't think about it as much. So Cersei's a liar we do get perspective of,
Yeah, she
but
doesn't dwell on it. Yeah, she doesn't. It doesn't weigh on her like it does on Ned.
and we see some element of her lying to herself also with one of my like love and hate plot points, which is her friend who she pushed in a fucking well. She never directly thinks, "Oh yeah, I murdered that kid," straight up. She
Yeah,
always just sort of alludes to it in her own head,
yeah,
which is interesting because to some extent she's
Yeah.
lying to herself, right? Like, uh-oh, something happened and my friend fell in a well, and
yeah.
I
I
pushed her
happened to be
down the
there.
well. I pushed her down the well and she happened to die at the bottom of it. Suddenly
She
she
had an
stopped
unrelated
screaming. It was
drowning
so
incident.
strange. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me
Uh,
of Otto Hightower. It's this wonderful passive voice nonsense. They're like,
yeah.
mistakes were made in the aftermath of visiting the witch in the woods. A Malara Heatherspoon wound up at the bottom of a well.
Uh,
Uh, uh, uh.
this might be the only chance I'm ever going to get to bring up this brainworm as well, but I also did have the brainworm of I threw my friend down a well. Don't ask me, I'll never
Yeah!
tell.
Yeah!
And I don't know where to go from there, but I did
I know
did
where to
hear
go.
that
I know exactly
song.
where to go, Michael. The place that we
I
go with
thought
that is onto our A Song of Ice and Fire themed cover album.
I thought
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna be I threw my friend into a well. I don't care.
I love it.
I don't care.
There are
Man.
many. It could just be a whole Cersei well-based cover album, actually.
God, like a dog runs up to Tywin and is like, "What's that, boy? A child fell in a well? Oh, thank goodness."
One
One
less
less.
threat.
Yeah. Oh man, that's good. That's good. The children of the forest are hungry. We need to throw some kids down wells every once in a
The
while.
children
I
of
like
the
how Tywin's like
forest are
super
hungry.
into like Children of the Forest lore.
Yeah.
A good a like we should open a business called the Children of the Florists, where we sell
Shrubberies. We sell fine shrubberies.
yeah, which we hang on, which we go and deliver to the Isle of Faces in a reference to Monty Python. Yeah,
And they definitely aren't made of people.
yeah,
Our
yeah.
shrubberies are not fed blood at all, not even a little.
Yeah. God, this is just incomprehensible to people who aren't in the fandom. My God, this is just Coco Melon.
Let,
Just mouth noises to people who don't know what we're talking about.
let's hope the YouTube algorithm doesn't decide to push this video to a brand new audience starting 40 minutes in. As
Yeah.
long as they don't do that, we'll
Yeah.
be fine.
I got another good one, you guys. I got another good one.
Yeah, let me get it.
Um, uh, Davos Seaworth is not dead.
Oh, yeah.
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 Wyman Manderly actively stands and lies in front of all of like all the representatives of House Frey, and kills an innocent man to protect Davos.
Yes, but
Okay, so
We are there.
Wyman Manderly's a lying bastard who does this shit all the time.
I love this man.
The interesting thing is that Davos is going along with it and like understands it has a cost.
This man says going along with it as if he
Mhm.
has any amount of agency in the situation. This man has not had
No,
agency in like 1.5
no,
books.
don't they like shove the
Ned Stark, if we was in the same situation, would like die to make sure the innocent person did not die innocent.
What an interesting statement, because I'm about to write something down about Ned Stark. Ned Stark lies on the steps of the Sept of Baelor. He lies.
Yeah.
He takes Varys's deal. He says,
Yeah.
I was trying to usurp the throne.
Yeah.
But there's no trolley problem there, right? He doesn't. Imagine if somebody else innocent were to take his place, like he would not
Well,
do that. I don't think he does
trolley
lie
problem
to
is
spare himself,
yeah.
but nobody has
It
to die in
it's
his
to
place.
spare his daughters too, right? Like that's what
Yes.
Varys says that eventually gets him. But yeah, I guess it's not really a trolley problem because no one dies
No
if
one
he just
else
lies.
dies. Yeah. Interesting.
So like one of the options is very obvious. But like all of this is kind of like thematically kind of related to something that I just talked about that I feel like is interesting that we see in the Dance with the Dragons in House of the Dragon recently.
Okay, but
We've seen Jace just
before we go in, I do want to come
yeah.
back to this after that point, okay?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was
Yeah.
just gonna say we've seen Jace going around making all of these negotiations where they're like, "We need a dragon to guard the Vale," and the Freys are like, "Hey, we need protection from Vhagar," and he can't really offer them protection from Vhagar, but he's just like, "Yep, we'll do that," because he has to lie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, the point I was
Corax is
getting
just
at,
like kind of around.
right? Yeah, and so like the point I was kind of getting at is like. I'm wondering if one of the main themes we're uncovering here is even these honest people when life just pushes them into a situation where it's either lie or die, they're all gonna lie.
I,
Yes.
I
Like,
I'm glad that you said that, because I was gonna say almost exactly the sentence with a sole exception.
Yeah.
Jon Snow is offered like a similar choice to Ned, where the answer seems really obvious, and he chooses to keep his promises. He chooses to keep his vows rather than
Yeah.
accept Winterfell. Where the choice,
Yeah.
we talk about this. What's the video we talk about this? We talk about this quite a bit in the Time Traveling Bran series, where Jon choosing to stay at the Night's Watch is a life-ending bad choice.
And he has ideas that there's scheming going on against him.
Yeah, he knows.
And
He knows.
yeah,
Janos Slynt has
he
said
doesn't.
straight up, "When I am Lord Commander, I'm going to cut your head off."
Yeah, and yeah, he knows that Janos is planning to kill him, and he knows there's a bunch of people there who don't want him around, who aren't just Janos. And even when he's Lord Commander, he has like some idea that the dissenters are like trying to get him out of his post. I don't think he knows like, yeah, and they're going to show up and stab you at such and such date at such and such time. But he knows the threat is there. He knows the second he comes back to Castle Black, there are people who want him dead, and he keeps his oath, surrounded by a non-zero amount of people who want to murder him. And I wouldn't stay in like a good workplace with like 5+ people who want to murder me, let alone the wall.
I would argue one person in your office actively trying to murder you and talking about it in the office is too many.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
I
enough
would
for you
agree
to
to
hop on Indeed and start looking for other
Yeah.
positions, you know?
Yeah, I hope you
Yeah.
don't work from home in that scenario.
How did you know
Uh,
about my family life?
Theon lies about killing Bran and Rickon because he's afraid to be a kinslayer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And doesn't he even lie in front of a werewood about it?
He does.
Yeah.
Oh, Rhaenyra lies in front of a weirwood.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. About and
Is
that
that-
one she also tries to word it in such a way where she's like trying not to technically lie, right? She's like, my Damon. She's talking about Damon, and she says something about like he never touched me, and then she makes it about her virtue,
Yeah,
which
and I'm like, if you,
Damon did technically touch her. Her virtue is gone, but Damon didn't take it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
like Rhaenyra, you should, if you had phrased that differently, you still would
It,
have been an
it's
asshole, but you wouldn't have technically lied.
Yeah.
it's
I think
it's
she
still a lie of
tries.
omission.
Yeah.
It's still a
Yeah.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman sort of thing.
I had them with a different one immediately after.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
In
That was
basically the same series of events.
that was also inappropriate and not a good use of my power over that person.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, but in that case, I was the one being very inappropriate in
Yeah,
that
right.
situation.
I was comparing that to the actual "I did not have sexual
I was
relations with that
yeah.
woman" quote.
You know
But yeah.
who else actively chooses not to lie is Davos. To circle it on back to Davos, we were talking about a little while ago. Davos, when like in the fifth book, I think, when we see from his perspective, when he is like when he's treating with people, he thinks like, I should lie right now. I would get a better position if I lied right now, but I can't. Stannis wouldn't want me to, and I don't want to. So he says it straight up. He says to the effect of, what you will gain from joining us, Lord Manderly, is honor and the thanks of a king.
That is a good, yeah, that's a good point because that's kind of similar to what I said, where like war is breaking out. You just have to lie in these negotiations. Like Jace has to lie. Oh yeah, we can send a dragon to guard the Vale, and Davos is just like, nope. I'm just gonna tell you what you're actually gonna get.
Yep, I'm going to tell you what's actually happening, what's actually going to happen. Which makes him one of the most honest characters in the series, I think.
So I have something that when you pointed out how Jon is one of these characters who refuses to lie, one of the lines from season 8 of the Bad Dragon Show, they go through an entire like giant ordeal to catch a white to get a negotiation. People lose their lives, and then if you remember, that negotiation ends with Tyrion and Dany yelling at Jon Snow, "Hey, it'd be nice if you would learn to lie a little bit
Like maybe if
every
he
now and then."
just like shut the fuck up for that like 10 minutes, it actually would have been fine.
Like, I do kind of think a giant portion, like, maybe not a giant portion, but a good-sized portion of the random things that popped up in season 8 were because George told them, like, "Hey, this is kind of like a theme and an important moment," and,
Yeah.
like, Jon Snow refusing to lie, might be an important moment where they're just like, "Ah, we'll work it in here." Like, that could be something that's coming directly from the books that, like, part of Jon's arc is like, "No, I need to be honest about this no matter what." You could even almost throw in Rob's, like, lie about marrying a Frey. Like, he kind of lied in a way because he said he would marry her, but then, like, his honor in doing right by Jane Westerling kinda got in the way of that.
Is that a lie, or is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
the circumstances making it circumstances changing?
Right, it's tough to say because it's like it's a weird lie where, like, you promise to do a thing and your future actions turn it into a lie. You know, like, if you promised, "Hey, I'm not gonna eat that cookie that you want, before you get home," and then later on you get really hungry and go eat the cookie
Yeah,
before the person comes
you get
home. You
stoned off
lied
your ass
before.
and you eat the cookie.
Yeah. It's like, "I was not sober, but the cookie is gone now." It's like, "Oh, so you
Yes.
you did lie
What
that
if,
when you said you wouldn't eat the cookie."
oh, we're like straying into the realm of like real philosophy here, because
Yeah.
Did Ned lie, assuming that the promise me was protect John? Did Ned lie to Lyanna?
Well, if Leanna
Uh,
explicitly said like raise him as your own, that's then if he doesn't, he never like that we see. I think affirmatively says, "Yeah, he's my bastard. Yep, I'm his dad, 100%." Uh, so he could be trying to technically not lie twice, and in a way, sort of not keep his promise. Because if
Oh,
like Liana was like explicitly tell everybody this is your bastard kid, like bastard it up, be like, yeah, I had a bastard. What? So what? And he doesn't do that. Did he technically break his promise to Liana?
so you're saying that Ned, when Lyanna was dying and bedridden, he did like that Key and Peele bit, where he's on the bedside of his dying wife, trying to avoid promising not to sleep with anyone else. Promise me,
Except for the
Ned.
Yeah.
opposite.
Promise me, Ned. I hear you loud and clear.
Except
No,
Key,
no,
Key and Peele.
I want to hear you promise.
Key and Peele. I know you watch the channel. Remake that scene, but in the Tower of Joy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With your definitely still going comedy show.
Yes, they could just. There's nothing stopping the two of them from just filming a sketch on the weekend, right?
Yeah,
They can
there's
just
no.
hang out and do a sequel to all those things.
They're
Nobody can
doing.
stop them.
They're
It was their show.
they're doing very well. There's nothing stopping them from filming a sketch with the weekend.
The weekend will play
Maybe
the role of
Howland
David
Reed.
John.
And we've got
I like
Howland
that
Reed
better.
right now. Here's another good one. I would have fought for him, but I would not lose for him, says Quentin Ball in Dunkin' Egg. Wait, did I get the wrong ball? Which ball is that? Which ball? Someone tell me. Is that Quentin or the other one? Shoot.
Yes.
Which ball? Someone tell me which ball.
Since
You're
we do
asking
not
the wrong
seem
person.
to know the other one's name, we just assume it's Quentin.
It's Quentin Ball. Quentin Ball is Fireball. Damn it. Who is the ball in Who's the ball bastard? The knight of the
It's
the
Glendon
amazingly named
Flower.
Knight of the Pussy Willows.
Yeah, it's the Knight of the Pussy Willows. He doesn't have a ball nickname. He's called the Bastard of the Pussy Willows.
No, he does. His last name is Ball. What's his name?
Oh, Glendon Ball.
Thank you, God.
Technically, his
Glendon-
last name is Flowers.
Yeah,
Fight
Glendon
me.
Flowers. I just googled Knight of the Pussy Willows.
Yeah, you guys all suck. How dare all of you? You left me. You made me feel like I was the weird one in that scenario. I was right.
I didn't know if you were right or not. I was not in a position to help or judge.
When I
Same.
was screaming which ball, I wasn't being weird. I was asking about a character.
No, I was trying desperately not to scream left, the left ball. Which I could have probably just said because now I said it anyway.
Oh my
So,
god. Well, I'm gonna put some honest people on. Davos does not lie to Wyman Manderly. Jon
Jon in Bad Dragon Show notably doesn't lie.
Jon chooses not to lie in season 8.
Even though it ruins everything.
It does.
Even though season 8
and
doesn't exist.
And you know what sucks about that? That's a really interesting character move. That's an interesting decision for Jon to make in this like interesting echo of his father. And then it didn't matter
Yeah.
anyway because it's revealed that Cersei was never intending to ally with any of them anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why
the
have
final
you
season of
seen-
Game of Thrones are perfect. Where this would be a cool character moment if it mattered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says
Yep.
Tom, thinking about everything I ever did in Undertale. Jon stays at the Night's Watch in spite of it killing him. Any others? So like these are.
I mean, it's not a lie, really, but it is kind of like one of these little technicalities that we're talking about. If Jon does do the whole "my watch has ended, I died" thing, like that's kind of like I kept my vow, but also this is a technicality.
Yes, and that's well, the thing I wanted to drive this towards was the maybe the philosophy of lying, but also the like liars lie to themselves sort of thing, or they come up with justifications. Like so many scammers and spoilers. I talked to a ton of scammers for an upcoming like personal channel Zach from the Club video. So many scammers justify what they're doing by like saying somebody would have came along and scammed this person eventually, or uh, uh, they technically like say I sold somebody a faulty thing, but I never said that it wasn't faulty. I just never gave the information that this thing I was selling them was non-functional. They should have checked. They should have been more diligent, sort of thing. They always have this sort of like a series of lies they told themselves first to make it so the thing that they did was less bad. And it's interesting because we get some people really like chewing on lies here, and like especially Ned, especially Sam, where they've justified it to themselves first, and we agree with them from the perspective of at least like Ned and Sam, because we know what the like consequences are otherwise. I don't think anybody's like, yeah, Joffrey should be on the throne. Janos Slynt should be the Lord Commander.
Zach, can I
But then
add
we go for it.
Yeah, I'd like to add one more person to that conversation who really weighs on lies he's told is Duncan the Tall.
Yeah.
Duncan the Tall, who appears not to have ever actually been knighted, but is allowing that lie to like he is allowing this lie of omission to continue to he's allowing this lie to persist because it is much better for him.
Yes. Also, it's not entirely clear that Arlen even was like knighted himself.
Yeah,
we have Arlen's word for that.
Arlen's weird. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. I have great news. The video is just about over, so we're gonna need final thoughts from everybody, and then we gotta fire on to the next one. Duke, you're first.
Yeah, it's fascinating that we like. I'm just gonna fucking wait. Who did you say was first? Did I like jump?
Eddie, go.
Sorry, I heard Zach was the Duke.
They're one syllables. They end in a K. See, it's fine.
Go ahead, Zach. You got this.
Sorry,
Oh my god.
there's three people whose names are not meaningly phonetically different.
What is this? No, we don't have time for this argument. We'll start
We
the
don't
next
have
video with
time
this
for the
argument.
bit.
Go ahead. Go,
Okay.
go.
uh, so I just think it's fascinating that we very early on in a book that's supposed to set the stage for everything see both like what George thinks an honest man lying looks like and what George thinks like justified lying looks like, because those are going to be like presumably crucial themes throughout the rest of the book. And I feel like he planted the seed here, right? He talks to these Gardner all the time, right? It's not just for like character arcs and where the story's going, but I think it's for themes too. And I think like it's possible. Here's a fun final like frame to think of. Is it possible that the resolution of the book, of the main conflicts going on, stuff like that, is going to require another important, invaluable lie? Is it going to require another omission of truth that makes peace possible between like the others and humans? Is it going to be like some sort of lie that puts somebody competent on the throne after like multiple different leaders who shouldn't have been there?
Oh my god, Zach.
That's fascinating, because if that's the case, he set it up in book one.
You're saying that the hero we need is Aegon the Sixth Blackfire.
It might be the case that he's actually a really good king and they need to keep up the lie, or somebody feels they need to keep up the lie, or the truth coming out is actually a bad thing. That's entirely possible. Or it could be the case that like maybe Bran does take the throne, but he takes it under another identity that more people are willing to buy into, or he gets a like puppet king. Basically, he gets somebody who has no like. They talk about this in the Duncan Egg novellas too. I'm forgetting who the king is, who's like bookish, who doesn't do anything, and everybody's like Bloodraven's really ruling the realm.
I believe that is the carefully pronounced Aenys.
Classic Aenys. Maybe Bran gets his own Aenys at the end of the books.
You think Bran? You think at the end of the books,
Bran,
Bran has a notable Aenys?
yes, he gets a brand new Aenys.
And it's very important to the plot.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I read Game of Thrones for the plot.
Yes.
The plot.
But like if Bran's with Bloodraven right now, if he learns all there is to learn about like ruling from him, maybe that's the path he goes. He has a dispassionate, disinterested guy on the throne, and he's running things from the shadows.
Yeah.
And maybe
and
the like lie that person's in charge is better than the truth.
Another thing I just thought about when you said, I know we're doing conclusions, but when you said a hyper honest person lying, in the first book we also have a dishonest person, Tyrion, being hyper honest in his trial by combat. Or is that also just in the show? I'm not sure.
He's confessing everything just exhaustedly because he's telling the truth. So he's just like, I'm just going to throw out all of these true things that you aren't probably going to believe me anyway.
Right into the turtle stew.
Yeah.
Did you have more on that, or otherwise I had something else to bounce off of what Zach said.
Yeah, you go.
Okay, so just as a potential like a big lie that could be told at the end of the conclusion of the story, I could see there being like a big sort of like propaganda lie around some of the events that happened. Because like there's this thing that I like society as a whole might need to tell itself like a justified lie about its past in order to go forward after all of these horrible things that have happened. So like if this new generation is remembered as like a new age of heroes, but like historically some of the things that they do maybe are lost, to make them more heroic figures or like, make them into legends, whatever it has to be. That could be sort of like the white lie that is told that's relevant at the end, that
Ooh.
like it's better for society to not know actually that Bran had to like eat a few people to get here.
That sort of reminds me of the Night's King.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wiped from history. Like history is deliberately altered to change
Yep.
people's perception of this. Also,
Yep.
I'm reminded of Dune, but we're not talking about Dune right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or too, like if there ends up being a different system in place at the end of the books, like if the blood sacrifice to the Weirwoods is ended and there's like some new age, the lie they could tell might be like, this is how it's always worked. Like that might
Yeah.
be part of the lie. Like if there's this giant Ragnarok and rebirth, part of the lie might be like, hey, we're gonna build a better world and act like it's always been this way. Like this is, you don't sacrifice people to the trees actually, and we never have.
Yeah. It reminds me also of The Wire in like the end of season 3. They get into a there's a gang war that's predicated off of a lie, and they can't stop the lie from spreading before it gets to the point where people are like strapped up and ready to go out and start killing each other, and they determined that it's better to keep going with the lie at that point, because like they can't stop what's going to happen anyways. People might as well think they're doing it for an honorable reason.
I mean, that's also House
Yeah.
of the Dragon.
That they've also both
Yeah.
might be commentaries on the same real life conflict.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a interesting like thing to push on, is that like George has a very interesting and good characterization of how and why people lie, and that might be really relevant in the end of the story.
Yes,
Is that where we're wrapping up? Like, is that the general conclusion?
Yeah, I like it.
that's what I wanted to explore. Yes, and I'm
Yeah.
glad we talked about all of these things, because it really like crystallized in my mind. George really draws attention to lying, and it'd be weird if that didn't pay off.
Yeah.
So, Zach, as our one final point, do you have any predictions on what, like, do you have a specific prediction on what you think that lie will be, or is
I
those the spitballing we just did
it's
kind
a
of about where we
spitball,
are?
but what's been driven to me is interesting here is it'd be really compelling if it was John who had to tell it,
I agree.
Yeah.
because he has been the most resistant out of all of our main point of view characters to telling beneficial lies. I don't know what
Yeah.
that lie would necessarily be, though.
So sometimes this is a bit, but right now it's not. Please leave comments speculating on what you think this might be. I think
Yeah,
this is a really interesting discussion. I would love to continue to have it.
yeah, if there's a crucial lie that we're gonna run into in the story, you should call your shot now, because that is like kudos if you call that ahead of time.
And this is the place you come for kudos and clout, these comments. So leave the
Yeah.
comments here.
Yeah, put the comments here, and then it'll be on record, and then you
Yep.
can come back screaming in a future video that you were correct.
Exactly.
And I will see it. I read them all.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, that's our show. Michael, is there anything you've been working on that you want to talk about?
Nope, just the theory that we're going to be doing after this recording and other videos on my channel.
All right. Duke, anything you want to hype?
Nope.
Okay, everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.